As we continue to see scenes from the war in Ukraine, people across America have been figuring out ways to help Ukrainian refugees and fighters. For one first-generation immigrant here in Chicago, that started with helping family, and it's evolved into much more. Our Jamaica Ponder has her story.
And you got bandages and stuff too. Okay, cool.
First, she helped her family flee Ukraine. Now she's working on getting supplies in and even more people out.
It's a totally desperate situation that no one should have to go through.
When Chicago native Jackie Birov saw the reality of Russia's invasion, she raced to get her elderly aunt and uncle out of the country.
I was looking at any angle I could that might be able to get them, out faster because their situation was deteriorating. There wasn't one moment that made it happen, to be honest. It was a series of one person that I would talk to, connecting me to another, connecting me to, a Facebook group, to a Signal group. So it was a combination of, honestly, a lot of people's efforts.
It took weeks of constant coordination and all-nighters to organize her family's safe evacuation. Coordinating through the chaos, Birov walked her aunt and uncle through the messaging platform WhatsApp so she could get the documents she needed to evacuate them. It wasn't easy.
When I was trying to get their passport information, it was like we're on WhatsApp, which at least, they have that, and they had Skype. We're on WhatsApp video chatting, and he was holding up, his green card to the screen, telling me, do you see this? And I'm like, no, I don't. Can you take a picture and send it to me? Or, we end up having to go through things letter by letter, number by number. So their age definitely, and the technology piece really complicated things.
Organizing transportation wasn't any simpler. With no car of their own, taking the train seemed like the next best bet. But Birov was worried for her family's safety.
I don't know if people have seen the images of what it looks like at these train stations. It looks like World War II, and it's hard enough for an able-bodied person to get there, get some sort of space, push through people to get on there. They are just not able to do that. Yeah, my aunt, she has a hard time walking for more than a couple of minutes. So it's like the options for them were a little more limited. Up to the last moment, it was just total chaos.
After weeks of coordinating with NGOs and nonprofits on the ground in Ukraine, Birov was finally able to guide her aunt and uncle onto a bus to Poland, eventually making their way to O'Hare. Now, Birov is helping other refugees out of the country and fundraising for those who either cannot leave or choose to stay, donating things like food, water, even military-grade defensive gear.
What I'm doing is buying body armor. Anyone who's in contact with people there will tell you that they don't have, even though apparently all these governments are sending over weapons and all of this, they don't have basic protective gear. These people, many of whom are not even, soldiers, they're just civilians. I just went ahead and made a website now. It's defenseforukraine.com, and it has the links there. I've never made a website before, so I hope people will bear with me that I made it in 40 minutes. But yeah, it's defenseforukraine.com, and it has all the possible ways that they can donate just to my efforts. This is happening at a bigger scale here than I think we've seen in decades, but this happens in countries all over the world. And I don't know. I think it's hard to, in this 24-hour news cycle, to take in all the pain, honestly, that is around us. But I hope that people will still try to think about others and do what they can, even if it's just an hour of your week.
Jamaica Ponder, CBS News, Chicago.